Hello and good evening, welcome to the competitive speed series. My name is Frostbreath and I welcome you to the second round for the PC Tier 1. We're live in Australia and I can already see several Australians actually in the Twitch chat, so welcome to you and a good very early morning to you all. It's good to see you there. Yes, we are in your country tonight, so let's see what will happen there. First things first though, let's show you the 10 teams competing in this grid for the PC. We had 9 teams last week and we have a 10th team who has joined the fray from this round onwards. It's the NLR esports team, now the 10th team on the grid for the Haas car. The grid should be full, there should be 20 drivers present for each team you can see on the screen at the moment. It's going to be good, it's going to be interesting, so let's see where everybody will end up after today's race. You're joining us just after the real-life sprint qualifying for the sprint race later tonight, or morning, depending on where you are, of course, or even afternoon, if you're from the USA. There's also been a change to the calendar as well, so I would like to show you that right here. We had round 7 for Spain until the latest patch, where apparently a bump that was in the pit entry lane was moved onto the track, which could potentially cause huge issues. So that's the reason why Spain has been removed from the calendar, being replaced by Austria, the Red Bull Ring, on November 30th through December the 2nd of this year. As for the lineup for every single team, you'll see that in a moment when the grids are full and the lobby is ready to get going. We're missing one driver as we speak. We can of course take a look at the standings as they are right now, which are right here. The GS team is currently leading with 42 points, which is on par with the WOR team. If you were wondering what on earth happened to ABS, their driver Erwin Courtois, from the top of my head, can't remember his name fully. Unfortunately, they weren't officially announced as a driver for the team back then, so he was disqualified. That means ABS is currently sitting in 9th place. NLR, of course, having just joined, no points on the board just yet, but they'll be having 2 drivers tonight under the name of Raymond de Niet from the Netherlands and Dwight Chow from, I believe, Great Britain. It is going to be quite interesting. Dwight Chow actually isn't from Great Britain. It's I see the Colombian flag in the team roster Discord channel right here for the NLR esports team. So, the lobby is full right now, and we're officially getting going very soon. Of course, the weather is going to be a big surprise, and then we'll see. Can GS take another huge heap of points for their team hope? Can WOR overtake them for the lead? GRS is only 5 points behind. Team Spark is in 4th right now. The Friends Cup is in 5th place right there with 23 points, just 1 point ahead of the Outplayed Racing team in 6th place. ET in P7, ERT in the P8, ABS of course in 9th, and then last but probably not least, NLR. Let's see how they will be doing tonight. You can actually hear the countdown in the background getting ready. So then, Australia coming up. Let's see what the drivers can bring there. A short qualifying, of course, 18 minutes of high-speed action coming before that, and then we're on to the race. Let's see what happens. "14 corners is what this track counts nowadays. Of course, several changes have been made last year to the track right around the 2nd sector. A new DRS zone has been added, which now adds to a total of 4 DRS zones, which is, well, makes this track one of the most DRS zones of all calendar, especially in this series calendar, of course. 4 DRS zones, so plenty of overtaking opportunities. The very tricky turn 9 to 10 combination, one of the difficult parts to get right. And here we are. We are officially on our way and ready to rumble. Let's of course turn on several interesting things here. The lap times are always nice to know. As you can see, 20 drivers in for the GS team, Rarity and Ivan Leonov. We haven't seen those names yet for that team. Let's see if they can keep the winning streak for them going. For Spark, we have Magic and Antiquera in the Alpine cars. We see already several drivers leaving the garage. Let's see who that exactly is going to be. I can see that it is indeed very grey toned. It is indeed quite grey. It might actually be due to the fact that I personally have my HDR on. So let's see if that improves anything for you guys. Yeah, there we go. Right, so well, the HDR is working nicely for me. It isn't for you guys, so there we are. Should be much better. I noticed it on OBS as well, so thank you for notifying me. Daniel Gottschalk for the Outplay team is out first on track. His teammate Candy King still sitting in the pit lane. One of the McLarens approaching from behind. That is actually another WOR driver who we haven't seen last week. We saw Mizi in the second McLaren, and now it's Ilias Psauros from Greece in the second WOR car. There's once again no individual driver standings. It's purely about the teams, and therefore it also means that there is going to be plenty of points to score. The winning team actually gets 35 points, and you can score points up, down, all the way until 15th place. So there is a lot to gain for everybody racing tonight. DNFing is definitely the last option where you want to be considering, especially knowing that there's only 5 places without any points. As we see one of the Alpines in the background going quite wide. That might have been Antiquera. Yes, it is. He's got several drivers behind him who need a bit of a gap themselves, but it looks like the AlphaTauri of Daniel Gottschalk has decided to stay very close behind. So they might be in trouble with one another. Looks like he is leaving a tiny bit of a gap there. Let's hope he got a nice corner exit. Anyway, one of the first drivers to set a lap time here is going to be Ilias Psauros, as he has to negotiate a little bit of traffic as well. Let's see what he can do. WR, of course, a tied first place for them in the standings at the moment, so there is some pressure on them to keep this going with only 10 rounds in a season for the second iteration of Competitive Speed Series. It is going to be crucial to get as much points on the board as possible, which is of course very obvious considering points are always important. Antiquera is following suit, and Daniel Gottschalk might be in trouble here. It looks like he's quite a lot faster. Unfortunately for him, he's invalidated his lap, so he's going to have to try again. I wonder if he realizes that though, because he's still up to speed. No DRS open, so he's probably already aware of the fact that he's ruined his chance of setting a first banker lap for the night. Anyway, back to the man who's going to be setting the first lap time. He's still safe. There's a Red Bull come to a complete standstill on track. That's either Jordy Slater or Lindsay Muddle out there. They made sure to leave space for this man who's coming across the line right now. The first time of tonight, a 17.3. Let's see where Antiquera can place his car. We have a retirement already. That's interesting, as Antiquera goes for a 19.0, which is quite the difference. Another big step up from Diego Fernandez in the FFC. Mercedes goes up to first place with a 16.6. But interestingly, Rarity has retired on track. Not sure if that is allowed, even in qualifying, as his teammate Ivan Leonov goes fourth faster with a 17.7. Beaten by Luke Mills with a 17.2, and this is the man I spoke of during the opening, Erwin Courtin, in second place right now. He was disqualified last race round due to him not officially being on the list for the ABS team roster. Now he is officially though, so he shouldn't be disqualified this time. Now third fastest, Noé Grosjean with a 16.7 in second place right there. On the front row for the time being. Let's see then. We've seen plenty of familiar new names actually, Lindsay Muddle being one of them. Let's see where they can place their car on the grid. Just one more corner to negotiate. Onto the main straight. DRS fully open there on the Red Bull car across the line. It is going to be a 1 minute 17.8 for now, 11th fastest. Dwight Cho for the new team. His teammate Raymond de Niet, currently 6th fastest, so not a too bad of an opener for the NLR team. 6th fastest with a 17.1. Can Dwight go a bit faster than that? We'll know in a moment. One of the McLarens there moving out of the way. Speaking of the McLarens, Janesh Dovjan still in the pit box. He's actually leaving right now. Dwight Cho on the main straight. Across the line, it is going to be a 16.7. That is quite good, actually. It's good enough for the front row. So, NLR definitely coming in hot tonight with 2 pretty strong lap times. 2nd and 7th fastest for now. They will be more than satisfied with that. Diego Fernandez then, the fastest of the lot right now. The only one driver with a 16.6. Dwight and Noe right behind Erwin in a 16.8 in 4th place right now. As we watch Janesh Dovjan getting ready for his hot lap. Switching to a driver who's on their way for a hot lap right now, Neffen. We saw a purple middle sector on the minimap for a short while. Not sure if that is true, of course, since the game considers many sectors to be purple, whatever time it is. But yeah, GRS, currently Luke Mills in P8 right there. They didn't really have a brilliant weekend last time round, so they're certainly looking to improve tonight. Neffen being a new driver for them. Across the line, 6th fastest. He did the qualifying night with a 17.0 right here. So the qualifying night for him, they did quite well there. And it shows with Neffen now 6th fastest, beating Candy King to the line, who now drops to 7th. So then, looks like Elias is getting ready for this second outing as Janesh Dovjan is on his way for the first official attempt. Daniel, of course, with a second attempt, and did we see that correctly? Yes, Janesh has already ruined it coming out of turn 2, invalidated straight away. Let's hope that isn't the case for this man, as he has something to make up. Currently 19th place, no lap time recorded to the name just yet. Still within the lines, doing quite nicely. Nor we would say the white lines, but here in Australia, we would say stay within the yellow lines. There we go. Final corner onto the main straight. Where will he be? His teammate currently P7. Daniel, as usual, living up to the expectations of being a fast man. 4th fastest, 16.796. Nice job. And Takira, still no, well, actually, he does have a lap time on the board, saying 19.0, which is very far away from pretty much everybody else. So there is a lot to make up. Invalidated the second attempt, so not looking too healthy right now. His teammate Spark is getting close to the finish line. Or sorry, the teammate Magic. I'm really on a roll tonight. His teammate Magic out of the final corner onto the main straight. Let's see where he can be. Raced last time as well. Across the line, it is going to be a 17.4. 13th fastest right there. Yeah, if you want to be close to pole position, the best you can do is get a 1 minute 16.5. Then you'll definitely be on provisional pole. But we have Diego Fernandez trying to improve. 8 milliseconds slower right there. Getting a nice toe from his teammate. Look at that. Jorge Suarez giving as much of a toe as possible there on his outlap. Brilliant teamwork for the FFC team right there. This is, of course, the longest DRS straight on the track. So nice job. Whoa, going quite wide, but just barely staying within the yellow lines and keeping the lap valid, at least for now. A few more corners to go. Going through turn 11, of course, one of the corners changed from a few years ago. Turn 12, then going sharply left in turn 13, past the pit entry lane, the final corner of turn 14. Onto the main straight, let's see if he has improved indeed with the toe. Was 16.6, now 16.406. Brilliant job, excellent teamwork by the FFC team. And without compromising the teammate's lap. Oh, Noé Grosjean, just as we watch him starting his hot lap, has already invalidated it going into turn 1. Too wide, unfortunately, and that means the attempt is over in a blink of an eye. In the meanwhile, Erwin Coutin on the main straight. Where is he going to be? very close to provisional pole. It's just over 2/10 slower, but on the front row for now. Dwight Chow is improving as well, just over a 10th quicker through the middle sector. It is purple, and I wouldn't be surprised if that was true. A bit of a twitchy moment there coming out of turn 10. Frankly, the corner we just went to isn't counted as a turn, or a corner really, which is interesting. Nonetheless, he needs to find a bit more than that. It is at least 4/10 if you want to be safe on provisional pole. The main straight right there. Let's see where Dwight will be. He has improved, but he misses out by 4 milliseconds to the front row. Now that is unfortunate. Neffen just started this hot lap as well. Let's see where they will be. Say hello to Elias. Well, let's see. Currently on an out lap. Just exited the pit lane. Let's see if anybody else is on their way for an improvement. I'm on the need from the NLR team. There's actually quite a few Dutch drivers out there tonight. Rarity being one of them. Unfortunately retired, not sure why. Looking quite good though in the Haas car there. His teammate still third fastest. Just missed out on the front row. But where can Raymond go? So one team we haven't looked at yet is the ERT team, currently 6th and 7th fastest. Will they still be there? Yes, they will be, as Raymond is 9th fastest right there. Let's see, Lucas not on a hot lap right now. And it looks like Timo isn't either. Both Dutch, both in the Alfa Romeo, both coming out for the ERT team. Lucas also being the host for tonight's lobby, so thank you for that. Neffen, unfortunately, wasn't able to put his hot lap to use as he was invalidated. He's going to try again, though, on the same set of soft tires. I wonder if that is going to be successful. Through turns 3 and 4. Here, of course, you have to be very careful on the throttle. The curbs can be quite nasty through this part, especially. Looks like he's negotiating that part nicely indeed. 29 milliseconds quicker than the previous attempt. Getting closer and closer to the 1 minute 16 limit. You definitely want to be under that if you want to stand a chance at the top 10. Of course, everybody still has their final attempt remaining. And Takira has improved to a 18.3, which is still more than half a second away from P17. So, not nearly good enough for now. There's still Janesh Dovjan, who has to set a lap time as we watch Neffen approach turn 11. Ooh, there's going to be a bit of traffic along the way, while the Aston Martin's there. Thankfully not in the way, but it looks like Neffen isn't satisfied with his lap. Goes back into the pit box. Janesh then. Onto the back straight, right there. His teammate is quite far ahead. About to finish his hot lap as well, I believe. Let's see where Elias can go right now. WOR not doing that brilliantly. 13th and last at the moment. So where can Elias go? Across the line. And look at the improvement! They've heard me talking and they were like, what do you mean? Bad. Here you go. That is provisional pole. The first man to go with the 1 minute 16.3 right there. Brilliant lap. Where can Janesh come onto this list? He still needs to put a lap time in, and there we go, P6. Not too bad, not too bad at all. Just behind Daniel Gottschalk, who is actually on his way as well, I believe. Not right now, though. In 5th place right at the moment. And with 3.5 minutes remaining, it is getting very close, and we're about to see all cars come back out on track. Minus perhaps this man, who's just gone back in, and might not have enough time to come back out again. Ivan Leonov across the line, and a massive improvement from somewhere at the bottom of the list all the way up to 3rd place. Looks like the track is improving, and so are all the drivers. Ivan Leonov with his teammate retired and starting from last place, now up to third, but there's still plenty of drivers going for a new and final lap time, a last attempt to get that provisional pole. Dwight Cho currently on a hot lap. Is that impeding there? It's incredibly close. It actually was the Aston Martin who wasn't paying attention. That might come back to bite him nastily. He went out of his way for one Haas who wasn't on a hot lap. Dwight was on a hot lap and he didn't move out of the way for that one. That will definitely infuriate them. Ivan Leonov is in trouble now. That is a fact. And Dwight's lap time is down the drain. Will he have enough time for another one? I'm afraid not. Can't see the time left due to the yellow flags. There's 2 minutes remaining. He might still be in time, but I wonder if there's damage to the car. He hit the wall with the rear of the car, thankfully. So the damage might not be too bad. But I'm afraid that qualifying is going to be end of the line for him. Confirm, yes, Dwight getting blocked. Oh my goodness, what's going on here? 2 Red Bull cars. One on a hot lap. It's actually Lindsay getting a tow from Jordy. Look at that, brilliant there. Overtaken around the outside since Jordy is on his outlap and Lindsay is going quite quick there through the middle sector. I think we saw a bit of purple despite all the yellow and green flags everywhere right now due to people trying to find position, create as much of a gap as possible, which might be a problem for Lindsay as well. 2 more corners to go. It looks like traffic isn't going to be an issue. Onto the main straight. Let's see where Lindsay will be when she comes across the line. It is going to be P15, 17.1. So despite the tow, could be better, I'm afraid. Erwin Coutin in P4, and not on a hot lap right now. I'm afraid he's tried, but failed to improve. Norbert Grosjean is on his way, though. Let's see where he will be. Diego Fernandez started his hot lap as well. It's going to be tight. I think this man might pull something out of the hat. We've seen ABS, of course, being very quick in qualifying night. Last week in the race as well. Unfortunately, Noe had a bad race and Erwin Coutin got disqualified. So they're only having 1 point on the board. There's his teammate. No more time for him to set a lap. He'll be 4th at best. One of the Haas is there. Quite sure that is Raymond. I think Dwight is actually on his way for a hot lap right there. No, it's actually Raymond who's improved. Well, he hasn't improved, but he's at least come across the line. Norbert Grosjean going 4th fastest. So then, who will be fighting for pole position? Daniel only 44 milliseconds quicker. It's not going to be pole position then, unless he finds a load of time in the final sector. Elias Psauros in the first sector, 27 milliseconds quicker. Diego Fernandez has given up. Looks like 6.6 seconds slower. Yep, definitely not on a hot lap anymore. So it's Elias's game right now. Daniel Gottschalk is going to be across the line very soon. Where is he going to be? He's improved to 3rd fastest. But it looks like pole position can no longer be taken away from this man, who was 13th after the 1st and 2nd attempt. And now at his final attempt, he's already fast enough. A bit slippery there through the final corner. Where is he going to go? Is he going to go even quicker? It's not necessary, but he can at least try. But he stays at the 16.3, but he's going to be on pole position for WOR. Absolutely brilliant job. I think we also saw a penalty being given to Lucas Derksen for apparently hampering another driver. Usually that means the lobby is going to get a restart. So yeah, he's in 13th place. That would be 18th as a penalty if the penalty stays. He did get a penalty. Yes, we'll soon see in the list that he did get one. His teammate Timo Geurts in 8th place with a 16.694. And Dwight, I'm sure, will not be happy with what happened between himself and the Aston Martin of Ivan Leonov. He's now in 7th place. There we go, confirmation for Elias Psaras on pole position. In fact, Lucas got 2 penalties with a 10th place grid drop. Surely that's going to be a restart. Diego Fernandez in 2nd, Daniel in 3rd, Ivan Leonov in P4, Noé Grosjean P5, Eric Coutin in P6. It's the ABS team very close together on the 3rd row. Dwight Cho in 7th. You'll not be happy. TMO in P8, Luke Mills in 9th, and Jonas Dovchan in 10th. The rest looking like this. Which of course is going to be useful for the lobby restart, since they need to readjust the grid. Of course, we'll have to rejoin a new lobby, which means you'll see this beautiful intermission screen for a while. As we wait for the lobby to get going again, we'll be on a tiny bit of a break, so be right back very soon. Right, we are about to get going again. 19, correct me, 20 there drivers in right now, so the custom grid can be made as we speak. The penalty for Lucas will be removed, and that means he'll still be starting for P13 as far as I am aware. The weather, we've also got a little bit of insight on that. There's no rain to be predicted in the first lobby. That means the second lobby will of course be the same as it was. It goes from sunny to overcast by the end of the race. So that means no change for to intermediates or full wet tires for this race. Elias Psarros qualifying on top of the field. He'll be starting from pole position. You can see it here on the screen right now. WOR on tie with the team of GS with 42 points each. DRS in third place and Spark in fourth. Spark, especially Antequera, has got a mighty job ahead, as he was quite far behind the rest of the field with the lap time. 29 laps of racing coming up on this technically street track, so to say. And it's going to be good. It was reasonably close in qualifying. That means it could be reasonably close in the race as well. We have Team ABS on the entire third row of the grid. I expected a bit more from them, if I'm completely honest, but maybe Australia isn't the type of track for ABS. Luke Mills has made a proposal in the Discord chat that we should change the track for the race. That should be interesting. Just waiting for a confirmation from Lucas that the grid is set and that we should be on our way. People are starting to ready up right now. That means we'll be on our way in about half a minute. On the way to the Australian Grand Prix for round 2 in CSS. Need to keep in mind, no formation lap, so that means we'll be on our way pretty much any second after the loading has been finished. Of course, drivers shouldn't forget their car setup. That's going to be crucial. Otherwise, it's going to be a very tough race indeed. Setup first, strategy second. Here we go. Do let me know in the chat who you think is going to win this race. Not by individual driver, but by team. The total of their positions, their points, who is going to be coming out victorious tonight. Who looked the strongest in qualifying according to you? On average. Daniel will win for OP because he's a real G. Right? First prediction in then. Just waiting for the drivers to set their strategy, usually hards to mediums or mediums to hards, depending on how well you want to get away off the line and how fast you want to be in the second stint. Of course, safety car could still change up several strategies. I wonder if the soft tire is going to come out in the race at all, if there's going to be no safety car. Nonetheless, it is going to be interesting to watch them all go off the line in a few seconds. You also see Univiga saying WOR on top. Let's see if Ilias Psaros can keep that promise up from pole position. He's got some very quick drivers behind, of course. There we go. Diego Fernandez in second place. There he is. And we are officially on our way right now. The race is go. Let's see if Ilias can keep pole position. Looks like they both start on the hard tires. Daniel Gottschalk trying to go through the middle. And immediately an accident on the main straight between two cars. It's Magic and Jordi Slater having a terrible start. Lucas Derksen gets a 5-second penalty for a collision while the safety car has come out already. It is a disastrous start for Magic there. Let's see where they are. There we go. Two cars without a front wing. It's Jorge Suarez lagging in the background, somehow still behind both of these cars. I think that is due to the lag that we're seeing right there, but that is a disastrous start, one of the worst I've ever seen in league racing so far. It is Daniel Gottschalk who gone through the middle just before the safety car came out and is now leading the race. And he can breathe a sigh of relief with that safety car out there, meaning that he will not get an attack from behind for the time being, allowing us to have a little bit of a look at the tires that everybody has chosen. Looks like most people went for those hards. Several started on the mediums, and Rarity started on the softs from last place already up to 15th, due to the terrible start for some drivers behind. Spark is on the back foot right now. It's bad news for the team. So then, safety car out after just 2 corners. Daniel Gottschalk is leading the race. Ilias Psaros has lost his pole position, down to second. Diego Fernandez now down to third. Noé Grosjean in P4 at the moment. Let's look at those positions gained. Yes, as you can see there, some of them have gained a few positions. Ivan Leonov has lost one, Erwin Krutan as well. Many drivers heading into the pit lane. Lucas Derksen obviously into the pit to serve the penalty. As well as, of course, he has no choice but to go for a tire change. There was no damage despite the contact being made, which resulted in the penalty. So it looks like he is reasonably fine getting out of the pit lane. He started from 13th, now down to 17th. So not that many positions lost. Not too bad, could have been worse for him. Candy King, though, from 12th, now down to P16. With a new front wing, I'd assume. Neffen has made quite a few positions as well, as Lindsay Muddle has now gone up from 18th to 13th. So several drivers came out of this carnage quite well. 5 drivers came out pretty badly. You can exactly see who those are on the left side. So the safety car will most likely stay out for another lap after this one. So I'd say we get ready to race at the end of lap number 3. Then it's going to be another 3 laps until the DRS will be enabled. We see all of these drivers hurrying to get to the safety car queue. And then all we need to do is wait until the big moment when the race restarts. Daniel having a brilliant start on the hard tires, fighting off Ilias and Diego through the middle. I wish replays were a thing in spectator mode, because I think that would have been quite nice to see. We had to switch quickly to the carnage on the main straight between Magic, Jordi Slater as well. They are now down to almost last place. Jorge Suarez is the only driver behind them. I believe he went for a wing change as well, probably got involved in the carnage as well then. Otherwise, he would have been ahead of them right now. Noé Grosjean being very feisty, right behind Diego, nearly getting into contact with the Mercedes. That would have been bad news. Not only for his front wing, but for a potential penalty as well. So far so, the people who said that Daniel would be winning the race are right. He's leading for the time being. Only 3 drivers retained position. Timo Gertz in P8, Luke Mills in P9 and Jonas Dovjan in 10th place. They haven't lost any positions whatsoever since the race start. Halfway through lap 3, safety car should be coming in at the end of this one. And then we'll see if Daniel can keep the lead from Elias and Diego. Potentially Noé could throw in his nose for a pick at the lead of the race as well. There we go, confirmation that safety car is in this lap, meaning that Daniel will now be leading the field. Backing the pack up entirely. Let's hope nobody is getting caught up by that and bumping into one another. We already saw Lindsay nearly bumping into Nevin there. Now the big question, of course, is when will Daniel get going? The safety car is far from getting into the pit box right now. Of course, he can see that himself as well on the minimap. Needs to pick the perfect spot and hope everybody is getting caught napping. I believe this is the moment he goes. Yes, off he goes, and he did indeed caught Elias napping there. As he takes away into the distance, creating a gap of at least 0.7 of a second. So a very nice restart indeed. Diego is trying to keep up, but it looks like Ivan is trying to catch up to Noé Grosjean into turn 1. Is he going to go the inside? Extra grip from the medium tires. Side by side through turn 2, but for now he has to yield a little bit, but he still is side by side, and up he goes. Noé Grosjean immediately under pressure from Dwight Chow as well, as he tries to go and have a little bit of a look on the inside of Ivan, but the Wisely decides to stay out of trouble there. But up to P5 Dwight goes, and Noé Grosjean now demoted to 6th place, right ahead of his teammate Eric Coutin. If Erwin proves to be faster, I'm sure Noé will allow him to get past, as Erwin did brilliantly last race. But Timo Geurts is on the back of Erwin right here. Is he gonna go for a move, or is he gonna try and stick behind and hope for DRS later down the line? There's also, look at that, it's Janesh and Luke Mills going side by side. Janesh getting ahead of the Williams there. Through turns 9 and 10 they go. Very nicely done indeed. Luke Mills now down to 10th place and right ahead of his teammate. The restart looking a lot better than the race start, to be fair. Daniel Gottschalk had a bit of a pressurized moment there from Elias Psauros into turn 11. He tried to reclaim the lead of the race. Looks like Elias has got more pace. He had a bad restart. It doesn't mean his race pace is bad after all. Looks like he's gonna try and overtake Daniel Gottschalk as soon as DRS is enabled. But don't count out Diego Fernandez just yet, as he had a look at Elias's McLaren as well when he tried to overtake Daniel. Had to back out and immediately had his Mercedes flying around his ears. But it looks like Ivan might be in even better shape than the entire top 3. The Aston Martin absolutely flying. His teammate already up to 13th place from last. Not doing too badly. In the meanwhile, the other McLaren of Janesh Doshan, very tight there indeed. Already overtaken Timo for 8th place. Well done. Looks like WOR is moving up the grid right now. Lap 5 out of 29. Many fights going on everywhere. And it looks like Janesh is about to attack another car. One of the Ferraris of the ABS team there, as he tries to go for a move. Wisely decides to stay behind through turns 9 and 10. Can he get a good exit? That's the most important question here. No, he can't get a good enough exit. Stays ahead of Timo for the time being, as we see Rarity make up another position. Moves now into 12th place ahead of his fellow countryman Raymond de Niet. The Dutchman Rarity in the second Aston Martin up to 12th, as his teammate Ivan tries to challenge for the lead. Plenty of drivers challenging for the lead actually, since almost everybody except Lucas, who was temporarily outside of DRS range, moved back into it. And there he goes. Attack on Diego Fernandez into turn 1. Of course, those medium tires definitely helping him for the first few laps at least. DRS enabled. We'll see those front wings open on the next back straight. We have a yellow flag. I think, oh, it's Timo dropping down the order. Might have been some contact there. Is his front wing intact? No, it isn't. The left end plate is missing from the Alfa Romeo, and that is bad news. He was driving for the points in P8. Oh, for some reason he's bumping with Antequera there, who, despite having a whole front wing, allowed him back past. That was very strange. Anyway, back to the front of the pack as Elias Psauros quickly needs to get past Daniel Gottschalk, as Ivan Leonov is approaching both of them. He easily swoops into the lead. Daniel didn't really defend there, knowing that he'll be having a DRS sooner or later down the line. Not here though. since the detection point for this DRS straight is the same as it was for the previous, from the previous one as well, as Ivan is approaching the top 2 closer and closer. Dwight Chow having a great race as well, already overtaken Diego Fernandez for 4th position. Diego very strong in qualifying, looks like his race pace is a little less than he would like it to be, as Ivan now attacks Daniel Gottschalk for 2nd place, has to back out. The inside line didn't really work out, but Daniel Gottschalk broke so late, he nearly lost control of the car there. Thankfully, he stayed in one piece. I believe he had some contact with Ivan though, as now Dwight Chow is allowed to get past into 3rd position. Ivan dropped down to 4th. Daniel broke too late, went wide in turn 1, came back on the track. I think that caught this man out off guard, as he now drops down a position that he really didn't want to happen, of course. A lot of close racing is going on. In the meanwhile, a bit further back in the field, we see 2 Red Bulls fighting 1 Alfa Romeo. It's Lucas Derksen trying to get past both of them. He's already successfully overtaken Jordi Slater. Now he's right behind Lindsay Muddle. Is he going to go try side by side with the Red Bull? The other Red Bulls intermingling as well. Is this going to be contact? It nearly looked like it was. It is contact, I believe, there for a moment. Thankfully, both or all 3 of the cars stay on the track for now. But this is some very tight racing. Magic getting involved as well. No points. Well, actually, there's going to be points here for 14th and 15th. This is immensely tight racing between these 4 cars. Contact was inevitable. Both Red Bulls getting spun out. Team ETE has just ruined the race there, and another safety car. Although you could, of course, question the fact, is this by their fault? Or was this because of Lucas there? That was absolutely disastrous. The safety car is out for the 2nd time already. Elias Psaudas is still leading, and the safety car is somewhere in the middle of the pack. Right over there it is. And I wonder if any of the drivers on the hard tires would consider pitting now for a fresh set of mediums. And of course, most drivers on the hards, maybe those on 7-lap old mediums, might consider a pit stop as well. I wonder how the strategy is going to change for this. Both Jordi and Lindsay in the mud. Thankfully, their cars are still in one piece and only the front wing needs to be replaced. But there was definitely some contact in between themselves and Lucas. It went so quickly. It was quite difficult to see what exactly has happened. But the great news is they're both still alive and in the race. No DNFs just yet. However, 2 safety cars, meaning that this race is promising to be one big chaos. Now we'll know, are they going to come in or stay out? Daniels decided to come in, as is Dwight. And quite a few other drivers, those on the mediums, as predicted, are coming in. Rarity wisely doing so as well. On the soft tires, very close to contact there with the car ahead of Noé Grosjean. Interestingly, Elias has decided to stay out on those hard tires. But more interestingly, Lucas has decided to stay out as well. He was fighting for 15th position 1 lap ago. He's now in 2nd. But it is on 7-lap old mediums. And that means Dwight Chow, well, look at that. He was 3rd and came out 3rd as well. And that will be bad news for Elias and Lucas, since he was looking very quick. And NLR might be smashing their entry into this competition with a big opener in this race. You also see that Antequera has decided to stay out. He was fighting for very little points moments ago. Now up into 4th. And we're content then with fresh mediums right behind. Oh, dearie me, it's Lindsay Muller getting a time penalty, trying to hurry to the pack. Getting off track 1 time too many. And that is 3 seconds to the name of the 2nd Red Bull. Nine laps in and already 2 safety cars. I wonder how things are going to end. You can see that Only 3 drivers have decided to stay out. That's being Elias Psaros, Lucas Derksen and Takira. Of course, Magic and Jorge Suarez had already switched during the first safety car. So their tires are still relatively new. Timo Geurts as well. Actually pitted after the first safety car, come to think of it, as the safety car came in at the end of lap 3. And his tires are only 2 laps old. Very, very interesting indeed. And Takira, his qualifying pace was lacking a little bit. And now he's up to 4th. You'll be liking that very much. The question is, can he keep the position? There's a lot of feisty drivers behind, judging from 2 safety cars in a row. Soon we will know who has made the right call and who hasn't. Was it wise to stay out on 9-lap-old mediums or 8-lap-old, or sorry, 9-lap-old hards or 8-lap-old mediums? We'll soon know. Dwight, of course, is in the perfect position. He's got a bit of a buffer behind with Antikira being on 9-lap-old hards and probably not having as much of race pace as, for example, Eric Coutan and Jonas Dovjan. And he's got drivers ahead of him with older tires as well. Safety car is going to come in. Elias Psaros is leading the race away from Lucas and Dwight. And Takera and Erwin Coutan in the top 5 as well. Let's see, Daniel Gottschalk has been demoted to 9th place after his pit stop. He's got quite a few cars ahead of him now. Interestingly, all of them jumped him during those pit stops, so he must have had a pretty bad one, being held up quite a lot. And ELS is on his way, but Lucas is quite awake, to be frank. Dwight as well, and Antikera has been pretty much, very much fast asleep, because the gap is already 1.5 seconds. Erwin Coutan from behind, looks like Diego and Jonas almost had a fight there for a position. But it looks like everybody is going through turn 1 quite safely, indeed. It's Eric Coutan already overtaking Antikera. Antikera is already dropping down the field like a big brick. Everybody's already been overtaken by 2 cars on the second straight, the second DRS straight that is. Now he's got Diego Fernandez right behind him. He'd like to get past as well as he's fighting for the win potentially. He's just basically moving out of the way, somewhat trying to defend from Luke Mills there as he wants to have some points in 7th place. Now Luke Mills is getting compromised and immediately getting attacked by Daniel Gottschalk. There's plenty of fights to watch. There's Lucas Derksen now getting overtaken by Dwight Chow. And Dwight Chow on those fresh medium tires is now going to challenge Elias for the lead of the race. Luke Mills getting ahead of Antikera in the meanwhile for 7th position. Looks like Daniel Gottschalk would like to get ahead as well. He's going to go on the inside into turn 11. Antikera, can he defend? There's a crash there in the back of the field. We saw Noé Grosjean getting smashed into the wall, I believe. Raymond Deniet involved in the accident as well. And Noé Grosjean now moving down the field quite fast. There's probably damage to the front wing. Lindsay Miller looks like she's involved again, which is very unfortunate. Now Dwight with the fastest lap of the race. Elias knows it. Dwight is coming for him. This is going to be a problem for the man from WOR in the McLaren. And Dwight is going so wide, but it doesn't matter. He gets ahead quite easily. Just breezes past in the Haas and takes the lead of the race. Brilliant move there. Absolutely wasted no time getting past all of these cars. He's now got a healthy lead. The real challenger for the lead of the race is Eric Coutan. He still needs to overtake both Lucas and Elias on their older tires. I think both Elias and Lucas are now ruining their decision to stay out. I think mostly Lucas was hoping for another safety car. We came very close to it with the contact in the back of the field, but I think the game has decided not to give a safety car for this incident, as Antikera gets a 3-second time penalty. Candy King overtaking Neffen for a for 11th place. There's still points, of course, to be paid for this position. Now challenging Jorge Suarez for another place there. Up he goes into the top 10. Is Suarez defending a little bit there? Yes, but now he compromises his exit. Probably shouldn't have defended and let him go, because now he's got Neffen all over the place. And Neffen, although for the time being, staying behind. Elias Psaros has got no race pace compared to Dwight Chow. Ern Kuten gets past, but he's already lost about 2 seconds to Dwight Chow. Janesh Dovjan now getting past Lucas Derksen. Right behind his teammate. Is Elias going to move out of the way? I'm afraid he's got no choice if he wants his team to do well. DRS enabled. Diego Fernandez getting past Lucas Derksen for 5th position and trying to challenge Janesh. Janesh needs to get past here. Can Elias Psaros find a safe place to get him through? Or is he going to give him DRS? I think he is going to give him DRS. The detection point is right here. And that will make it easier for him to let him through without compromising his own race too much. So a good strategy there, I think, by the WOR team. Janesh is approaching. Elias is not going to defend. He's giving him as much of a tow as possible. However, he's still staying behind. Elias is trying to stay with the Ferrari ahead, who's got a 2-second gap, so he is able to draw himself closer and closer. When is the switch going to come then for this team? That's the question. They're still behind one another. We see Lucas. Oh my goodness, and Luke Mills fighting for a position. Lucas is losing so many places right there. Now he's got Daniel Gottschalk behind. Is he going to go for it in turn 13? You don't really see an overtake happening here that often, but he's got so much more grip. Look at the difference between the tires there. It's just Daniel easily breezing past, and Janesh has finally gotten past his teammate. Diego doing the exact same there, having much more speed than the Greek in the second McLaren. Now Janesh up into 3rd place, but he's got Diego very close behind him to challenge him for that position. No change in places for now there. Janesh on the hard tires will be in trouble when Diego still got that extra grip there.Field is starting to spread out a bit. Noé Grosjean now very far behind, and Takira going for another pit stop. I wonder why that is happening there. Neither of the Spark cars are in the top 15 for points. Look at this, Diego Fernandez getting closer and closer and closer. Challenging for a position here. No overtake yet. We see Ivan Leonov overtaking Luke Mills for 7th place. Getting very close to Daniel Gottschalk. Ivan was also challenging for the race lead. He's on the soft tires, interestingly. Wonder why he's chosen that one. He's probably hoping for a safety car as well. Just like Lucas was. Otherwise he would have come in on those mediums. A battle for 2nd place. Erwin Kuten trying to get closer to Dwight, but Dwight's got a very nice pace. He keeps the gap at just over 2 seconds. I think he's just playing with the cars behind, knowing they're going to fight for position. He might be even more safe than he already is. Janesh trying to stay with the Ferrari on his hard tires. Diego's lost a little bit of ground through turn 2. And Daniel's fighting there. 3 cars fighting actually for a position. Ivan Leonov is giving absolutely everything to stay ahead. And I think there's almost contact there. I nearly thought for a moment there that Ivan lost the car due to tapping the right rear tire of the AlphaTauri ahead. But thankfully that didn't happen. Ivan is still in the race, but his soft tires, how much longer are they going to last? Probably heard from his teammate that they're doing quite well for a few laps. There he goes. Breezes past Daniel. Of course, Daniel has to let him go. Much more speed. Carry it through the the back straight. You'd like to see Janesh's ERS? Well, let's have a little bit of a look there at how everybody's doing in terms of battery. 40%, 30%. They're all pretty much on the same level of batteries. All of these cars throughout the field, in fact, are having very similar battery levels. So I think those having DRS will try to save some as Elias decides to come in on his old hard tires. He's going to lose a lot of positions and he will have to pray for another safety car to get back in the game for a win. Staying out wasn't a good idea. Now down to 14th, and I'm afraid it goes going to be even 15th, maybe even 16th position now. As he's about to exit it, and Lindsay is getting closer and closer, as you can see on the mini-map. I will turn on DRS when I want to. Thank you very much. So then, Ivan Leonov, he does have a penalty. Let's see what the penalty is about. 3 seconds, so that has to be for the track limits then. That is unfortunate. That is going to hamper his race. Jernesh is getting ahead of Erwin Kutan. Look at that! A nice move, nice and easy. And it looks like his hard tires are potentially already working better than those mediums from Erwin's Ferrari. So, the tables have turned for WOR. Now it's Elias in the back. Jonas, who started in the middle of the pack, is now in second. And he's going to try and hunt down Dwight Chow, who's still leading the race. The gap is still 2 seconds. Jonas has wasted no time getting past. The gap is still the same, which is, of course, quite impressive. We see Ivan Leonov starting to struggle now on those soft tires. He's trying to stay within a second of the car ahead, but his tires are not really working that brilliant anymore. And that means Daniel Gottschalk is now approaching quickly. The gap is getting closer and closer. Look at this then. There's a fight going over 13th position between Rarity and Jordi Slater. It's a Rarity getting ahead of Jordi of the ETE team. Jonesh in second place, going quite wide, I'm afraid. That's a warning for the McLaren there. Erwin Kutan getting a better exit. Is he going to try and come back at him? No, he isn't. Diego is waiting patiently behind him. Trying to see what will happen in front of him. And then try and make the most of the opportunities he gets. Whoa, that was a bad corner exit for Janesh, and he's not only losing 1 position, but potentially 2, maybe even 3 positions. Look at that, it's Diego side by side, it's Ivan side by side, 3 wide, but it's Janesh backing out of the fight, and Ivan takes 2 cars in one go, so that is a bit of luck there for the man in the Aston Martin. Despite his old soft tires, he's doing quite brilliantly there to hold on to as many positions as he can. We have another yellow flag. It's on the main straight. It's Lucas in the pit lane. He hasn't retired though, so it might have been a bit of a spin. It's actually Rarity, I believe, who's lost many positions. He was fighting with Jordi for 13th. He is now down to 14th and far behind Elias already. Probably a spin then on the main straight for Rarity. Well, one Aston Martin is doing quite nicely. The other, while trying to get as many positions from last place as possible, is doing less well. Mononit getting ahead of Candy King for 8th position. We haven't seen much from Candy King yet, but there he is, being overtaken by Ramon, but getting a better exit despite Ramon having DRS. So don't count Candy King out just yet. They're both on equally old tires, 9-lap old mediums. Erwin Kutan going around the final corners. We see Ivan Leonov going for a pit stop. His soft tires are pretty much gone. We have another yellow flag. I believe that is Lindsay who's spanning out of turn 10. The car still being intact, but so far ETE not having a great race. Ivan Leonov going for another set of soft tires, potentially until the end of the race, because there's only 11 laps remaining. Can he keep those tires alive for long enough though to make the ultimate sprint until the end? And Takira getting another 3-second time penalty. Rarity has retired in the pit lane. After a spin on the main straight, he thinks enough is enough. It's going to hurt their championship chances. Bad news there for the Aston Martin team for GS. Daniel Gottschalk is approaching the top 3 now. Attacking Janesh for 4th position. Don't count him out just yet. I wonder if he can get close to the leader of the race. Dwight Chow is doing quite brilliantly. He's increased his gap to 2.5 seconds because of the fighting going on. As Elias Psaros is overtaking Jordi for 11th place. And leaving him far behind already. DRS wide open for all of these cars behind Erwin. But none of them are really capable of attacking the cars ahead just yet. The fastest of these four, I'd say it is Daniel. It is just that it is quite difficult to overtake here in Australia. We have Dwight Chow approaching the rear of the field, and Takira is about to be lapped. And that is going to be quite painful. Mediums aren't doing 20 laps and still being round, surely. We'll see. We'll see. If it was wise, they had of course no choice but to go to the mediums during the second safety car. All of the 11 lap old medium tire users right now, we're starting on the hards. So yeah, they had little choice but to go to the mediums. Maybe Ivan's strategy was wiser. We'll see in a moment. Diego Fernandez now overtaking Janesh for third position. And it looks like, once again, Daniel trying it through turn 13. And somehow he manages it again. This man is the king of turn 13. And he's now up in fourth place. He wastes no time whatsoever to get past everybody here. And now up in fourth place, challenging Diego for P3. But don't count Janesh out just yet. Is he going to go for a move? He thought about it. He had a little look. And oh, he actually does get ahead. Surprise, surprise. Daniel's got a bad exit out of turn 4. And up he goes back into fourth place. Now there's a surprise for you. Yes, Rarity retired in the pits. I can confirm that one. Look at that. The first car of this season about to be lapped. And Takira. And Lindsay spinning out again. Having an absolute disastrous race today. She's still far ahead though of Antikira. As Antikira is now officially lapped by the race leader. 2.9 seconds to Erwin Kutan. Doing quite well there. I think Janesh is biding his time. Many people in the chat discussing the tire age of the mediums, which will probably drop off very soon. That means Janesh might have the upper hand in a few laps time, but will it be enough to challenge for the lead or only for second place? Mediums can do 18 laps. Interesting. Very interesting. So that means Janesh might be in a good position to go up to at least second place, as Ivan sits fastest lap after fastest lap. Now though, he's I'm trying to switch to 11th place, thank you game. He's stuck in a train on his still relatively fresh softs. He's challenging Jorge Suarez for 10th position. How close can he get? And then there is a 3-second gap after Nevin for 8th position. Look at that. Nearly going 3 wide there. He needs to be in a hurry, and he is in a hurry, that's for sure. They both overtake Nevin for 9th and 10th position, and now Ivan has to hurry up and get past Jorge Suarez. He can't do it in turn 11, so he has to do it on the main straight. And if not there, then he has to do that after turn 2, as the gap between Jorge and Candy King is starting to shrink. Tries to go around the outside, but Jorge gives him no space there. He doesn't want him to get past at that point, as it will hamper his race as well. So Ivan goes for the inside and successfully gets past into turn 1 he goes. And now with a... Oh no! Another 3-second time penalty there. Now that allows him to have 6 seconds worth of time penalties. That is very bad news. So despite him being on the fast tire, he has to create a 6-second gap to the car behind to keep this position. Otherwise, he'll be in very big trouble. Thankfully for him, Jorge Suarez got a terrible exit out of the corner, allowing Nevin to get very close again. But it's still not enough. The pole time was a 16.33 something from the top of my head. By Elias Psaros, as Lindsay Muddle retires in the pit lane. She's had enough. It's not working out. Look at Janesh. The mediums are getting ancient by now. And Janesh's tires are still in a decent shape. They lost a few more laps than those mediums, and that means he now has the upper hand. Daniel Gottschalk now getting a time penalty. 3 seconds to his name. That will hamper his race for the podium as well. We were tipping him as a good driver for second, but that potentially might not happen anymore. The final stages of this race, and Dwight Chow is still having a blast in the lead. Nearly 3 seconds of a gap to Diego Fernandez. If you look at those position changes, Dwight is having a brilliant race, as is Janesh. He only needs to go for second, then his race will be even better. Ivan Leonov has already reached the next two cars of Raymond Deniet and Candy King, but his 6-second time penalties will hurt him badly by the end of the race. He has to push for what he's worth, and so far he's doing quite a decent job, to be fair. There he goes for the attack. Without DRS even, the Candy King wants to defend, tries to, but knows that Ivan is too quick for him there. And up Ivan goes into P7 on track. Oh, dearie me, Dwight Chow getting a 3-second time penalty, and suddenly the race leader isn't safe anymore. At least Diego Fernandez is still within the 3-second gap, and depending on how hard these two will fight, as he gets a terrible exit out of turn 13, allowing Dwight a bit of breathing room. The gap is still not big enough, so now Dwight will have to push, but it looks like Diego's going to be defensive here on Janesh. Not by success though, as Janesh easily moves into second place. Gap now 2.5 seconds. This might prove to be disastrous for Dwight Chow, who has been leading the race brilliantly with an excellent pit stop, excellent strategy. Erwin Kuten now attacking Daniel Gottschalk for 4th position. Daniel Gottschalk still, of course, having 3-second penalties, so Erwin Kuten, all he needs to do is stay behind within 3 seconds and he'll be totally fine, unless, of course, he's on 2 warnings and wants to be ahead to be safe. Rather safe than sorry, of course, with all of those penalties racking up now. And the race leader having a 3-second time penalty to their name allows Janesh to inherit the lead when they cross the line, if it stays like this. 4.5 laps to go, and the race is back on for the lead. I think that was an unnecessary penalty, to be fair. Dwight was quite safe, so he didn't have to push that hard. Now going wide has cost him a potential race win. Daniel Gottschalk is going berserk now. He pushes nearly pushes Diego Fernandez wide up into 3rd place. 3-second time penalty though, so it's not good enough yet. Lucas Derksen overtaking Jordi Slater for 13th place. A few more points for him there, but not a great day for ERT either. Spark currently scoring only 1 point, ETE only 2 points from the top of my head. And now Daniel Gottschalk has turned up a gear, that's for sure, because pushing all he can, trying to attack Janesh for 2nd place, but then he still has to create that 3-second gap, so Janesh at least can breathe a little bit. If he's going to be too aggressive, he'd be wise to let him pass, otherwise he might lose that 3-second gap to Dwight Chow. It's very narrow. You can see Dwight has started to push hard. It is Chow versus Dovjan indeed. 2.8 seconds, 2.9. The gap is hovering just barely under 3 seconds. Dwight is pushing so hard. He has to now. He's having an easy time. Not anymore. As Ivan is getting past Luke Mills for P6. Jordi with a 3-second time penalty as well. Daniel Gottschalk looking on the inside of Janesh. 2.8 seconds. So we'll have 3 laps remaining. And then we will know where Dwight will finish. You can see that both cars are pushing very hard. Daniel pushing the hardest of them all, as he's the only one trying to attack Janesh at the moment. The gap is still too big to place an attack here on the main straight though. Gap 2.8 between P1 and P2. Well, Janesh is definitely going to score some points like this, but whether it's the race win or not, we'll soon know as Diego attacks Urban, and Urban nearly spins and loses control of his car all by himself, I'm afraid, by breaking a little bit too late, trying to defend from Diego, who already broke very late in the first place. So there you go, Diego now up to 4th place. Eric Coutin demoted to P5, his teammate in 17th and second to last place. Not doing that brilliantly as Jordi overtakes Lucas again, now for 13th position. Daniel Gottschalk has overtaken Janesh, and I think Janesh has allowed it to happen. They come into contact, nearly taking one another out, and the gap is now over 3 seconds, allowing Daniel to once again win this race if it stays like this. Daniel's moved ahead. Janesh will be less than pleased with that, because now the gap is bigger than 3 seconds. Those mediums of Daniel's car are much older, so much less grip through the corners. That will frustrate the men from WR by quite a lot. Those mediums are dead indeed. But that doesn't mean Daniel's going to give up racing, because that's what their racing drive is for. Despite the penalty, he's still going for it. Janesh needs to get past. Oh my goodness! He nearly loses the car, Daniel, there. Is that because of a puncture or just because the grip is so much gone? He went up to second for a moment, and now the gap between Janesh and Dwight Chow is even bigger, 3.7 seconds. Now Janesh is having to push like mad to win this race. He needs to find more than 0.6 of a second. Diego Fernandez is still behind as well. If he can follow Janesh Dovjan, he might even win the race. It isn't over. There will be one more lap. The gap is now down to 3.3. He's pushing like crazy there. His hard tires just have a tiny bit more life left in them than the ancient mediums of the cars ahead and behind. Even Diego's on the medians, but it looks like the differences are quite marginal because everybody's pushing so hard. They're all staying within 1 second of one another. Of course, being held by DRS as well. We start the final lap of the race right now. Gap is 3.3 seconds. Daniel is now suddenly under attack. Out of nowhere comes Ivan Leonov, who's pushing the hardest of them all on his old soft tires. They're just working a tiny bit better than those ancient mediums though. And he's not only overtaken Daniel, he's going to attack Diego Fernandez as well. Doesn't work though. Daniel's going for a dive bomb on the inside. He doesn't need to because Ivan has got 6 seconds. He's only got 3. But that doesn't mean Daniel's going to give up. As I said before, this man wants to fight for every position that he's worth of gaining. Despite penalties of cars ahead, he wants to attack as much as possible, that's for sure. Diego cannot keep up with Janesh. 3.3 seconds. He's still missing a tiny bit of time. His battery is empty. Dwight Chow's battery though, no flashing lights just yet. The rest of his is looking still fine. Is Janesh having enough battery left? If he having enough grip? He has enough grip through the corners. On the straights he isn't quicker. Through the corners he is just over 3 seconds. The gap is going to be incredibly close. 3.3, 3.03. It's 3.1 now through the corners. Even there, Dwight Chow allows to stay just outside the 3-second limit. It is 2.9 right now. It's back to 3.2. A bad exit for Janesh allows Dwight Chow potentially to win the race. Every inch of battery, every inch of ERS, but it's not enough. Dwight Chow wins by a tiny margin on paper, but by 3 seconds on track. Janesh misses out by 2.5 tenths. Diego misses out by less than 2 tenths on Janesh for second place. Daniel retains P4 as Ivan is dropped down to P5 due to a 6-second penalty, but a great recovery from him as well. An intense final few laps and Dwight will be sweating hard, that's a fact. Wow, absolutely breathtaking. I don't think Dwight did need to make it that exciting for himself and for us. If he didn't have that penalty, he would have easily won the race. But this was very, very tight. He is though the winner, and NLR starts this off with a big bang. Coming in the second round of the season as a new team, immediately wins one. Brilliant. Brilliant, brilliant. confirmation then. Dwight Chow winning the race. A bad day for ERT and ETE as well as for Spark. All the teams are scoring quite a nice amount of points. But yeah, Noé Grosjean will definitely not be satisfied as Timo Gert steals the fastest lap from Ivan Leonov. I'm not sure if there's going to be any points for it since he's outside of the top 15. But he's got it nonetheless. One pit stop for most drivers here, as you can see. And several front wing repairs as well. Yeah, thank you for correcting that one. Magic should be P15 since he retired before the race was over. But yeah, brilliant final few laps. Dwight wins, Dinesh in second, Diego in third, Daniel in P4. I think Dinesh will be the most satisfied out of the top three, as he started in 10th. Raymond Neat having a great race as well. NLR is going to be a team to watch this season. Let's see if anybody's up for an interviews here. Looks like Ace has got the same idea. GG. I'd especially like to hear from Dwight. How he experienced the final 5 laps with the penalty suddenly being slapped to his name. Must have been scary. Let's have a look at the standings before this race. As you can see, especially ETE will not be happy with the performance today. Spark even less so. They were 4th in the standings. And only one driver has scored points. However, we have Dinesh in our chat. There you go. Welcome. Good to see you there.
Hello.
Let's first and foremost go to the final few laps, because suddenly you saw the race leader had a penalty. What went through your mind?
Honestly, as soon as I saw him get the penalty, I was like, that this is gonna be like a free win, because theoretically, I had better tires for the end of the race, but I don't know what happened. I think it was just like a pure skill issue, and I couldn't catch him.
Yeah, not only that, you also had some very aggressive cars from behind, hadn't you?
Yeah, a whole lot of people with fresher tires and charging with DRS wasn't like something I wanted, but I had to live with it.
Yeah, you started from 10th position, so second place. Is this something you can be happy with? You probably are a bit disappointed you didn't win the race, I guess.
I mean, I'm more sad than happy, because
Fair enough.
I'm not the type of person to be happy with not winning, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, especially with these circumstances, am I right?
Yeah, but the fault's purely on me. I didn't practice enough. I wasn't ready for the hard tires. Didn't know what the grip was, so just a pure skill issue, as I said.
Yeah, still though, it looks like those hard tires had a bit of the edge on the mediums. You were within 3 seconds for quite a few laps, then the attacks happened, then you had to close the gap again. You were so incredibly close. Nonetheless though, it's some good points for the team. Have you heard anything about your teammate?
Sorry?
Have you heard anything about Ilias? Because he didn't pit under the safety car. Were you communicating with him during the race?
No, I usually race alone. I don't like having people in my call. It just puts like additional pressure on me, because I feel like now I need to extra perform because someone is actually expecting me to perform in call, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I just like prefer to race alone.
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. Anyway, congratulations on second place still. Good points for the team. And let's see what will happen next week.
Yeah, cheers.
Cheers. Looks like Janesh was the only one joining us here in the interview room tonight, unfortunately. So that means this will be the end of the broadcast. Thank you so much for joining here for the second round in Australia. Next week, let's have a little look at the calendar, which track you can expect then. A little bit of update though, I will not be there next week as I'm on a vacation for 1 week to Germany. Hopefully somebody else will be able to take over because we will be in Miami. You'll hear from me again in the week after in France on Paul Ricard. Of course, depending entirely on how my return journey from the vacation went. Should be all right though, but thank you for joining. Enjoy your morning, evening, night, or afternoon, wherever you are, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.